next week the Senate is going to consider funding for ICE, and I wanted you all to hear exactly how I'm approaching it. First, to start the debate, I called ICE on the Senate floor Trump's personal Gestapo. And you don't stop a Gestapo with a bunch of hope. You don't tweak a Gestapo. What you do is you stop a Gestapo. And that's what we're going to be focused on. Here are some of the steps that I'm taking. One of the things that I have felt so strongly about is for some time now, ICE has been grabbing people from the streets. And we have been investigating for some time ICE's weaponization of domestic surveillance tools and how to cut it off. ICE has direct self-service access to driver data in 45 states in this country. And our investigation showed that their self-service access to that unblocked data has taken place in 41 of those 45 states. So I'm going to be watchdogging how ICE conducts domestic surveillance. And I can tell you right now, they are hoovering up personal data of Oregonians and Americans, and they basically use data brokers, a bunch of sleazy data brokers. And a top priority for me in this package that is being discussed in Washington, D.C. is to do everything we can to make a start at reining in these abuses of people's rights. And ICE's abuse of incredibly sensitive taxpayer data goes back to early 2005 when Elon Musk's Doge henchmen started spreading throughout the government. And we've been dealing with carefully screened data now for some time because we're making sure that it's protected by ironclad law. And I want to make sure that people understand my position is anybody helping Trump, Stephen Miller or Kristi Noem, violate taxpayers' privacy rights ought to face prosecution. This ought to be treated as something that is central to the ability of people in this country to enjoy their privacy, and that's the way we're treating it. I think that privacy is an economic security, it's a family security, it's, by the way, a national security issue, and I'm treating it for that purpose, it being included in this package. The Fourth Amendment also is at risk. Basically, the way they take your personal information from these data brokers, as I touched on. The masks ought to be off. The federal agents ought to be required to wear uniforms to display their badges. And mostly, everybody ought to be able to identify them. You ought to have somebody that you can hold accountable. So there are other things that we're working for, particularly profiling of U.S.-born citizens. That's being done illegally. And we also want elected officials to know that they're going to be able to work with the federal folks and protect their communities.